record to the computer. Yay! Hey, Mama Ansel. All right, so let's freaking recap. Day one was all about learning to love yourself and bridging the gap. So we identified where we are now, who we want to become, and then we talked on, the steps that we need to take to bring the future bits of ourselves into the now so that we can grow into her, right? Setting new standards for ourselves and deciding to choose again every single day. And then day two was all about some practical action items that you can take to implement more self-care and self-love into your everyday life, as well as a few super woo tips that I've used to get me where I am today. And then today we are by Felicia. Doing the hard thing can often be the best thing. And the entire inspiration for, hey Katie, hey Danielle, the entire inspiration for me doing this mini series on self-love and self-care and all about elevating your frequency and deciding what you want to do with your life, who you want to become, and how you can actually do those things step by step, day by day, was because of an Instagram story that I actually did a couple months ago that I had so much feedback on, and I figured what better time to launch this mini series than in the month of February, which is also the month of Valentine's Day, and it can really be the center of everyone's relationship, either bliss or like everything's blowing up, right? So I figured what better way to, bring in some of the things that I've learned about myself from my past relationships and how I've handled those and how I've grown. And I did an Instagram story that was all about making the hard decision. And I think that so often we tend to think that self-love and self-care is all about doing the things that every single day seem really easy, right? Like, of course, taking a bath feels really good. Of course, doing things like getting our nails done and getting our hair done is really good. But there are also some really hard things about self-care. And I'm going to take a little bit of my journey and relate this back to, oh, thank you so much, you're so sweet. So I'm going to take some bits and pieces of my journey and help kind of use that story to teach you guys some ways that you can actually learn to love yourself in ways that might seem harder, but in the long run are actually going to pay off. Now, I want to preface that everything that I'm going to be talking about, I don't want you guys to automatically assume that oh my gosh, if my husband does these certain things that drive me nuts, if I raise my frequency or if I do these things, I'm going to push him out, or my boyfriend does things that irritate me, and then all of a sudden take everything that I'm saying and completely being my significant other sucks. Because this doesn't have to be just about romantic relationships, right? This can be about any relationship in your life, including the relationship that you have with yourself, with your children, with your parents. I have so many clients that we talk about limiting beliefs and unraveling subconscious beliefs, and a lot of the work that we do stems around the relationship that they hold with their parents, right? So I'm going to teach through my story, but just remember that you can take everything and implement it in a way that serves you. So let us dive in. Number one is talking about the importance of getting rid or getting out of toxic relationships that no longer serve you. And why I feel like this is so important is because we cannot truly be our best selves. We cannot live into the highest versions of ourselves if we are constantly surrounding ourselves with people that make us feel less than, that are making others feel less than, or that are constantly making us feel like anything that we wish, hope, dream, think, believe is stupid or silly. And then ultimately, they're, the worst of the worst with relationships that maybe are not safe, whether it be, emotionally abusive, physically abusive. I am someone where I come from a background of multiple relationships that, really did not serve my highest good. Now, I could have been the person that chose to blame those people or that chose to hold a grudge on those people. And instead, I've really taken everything that I've learned from those experiences, and I've chosen to heal those wounds with love. And that is not always easy. And there are, situations and circumstances that people have in their lives that I will never be able to relate to. And would never even want to imagine what they've experienced. But when I was in high school, I was in a relationship that was very emotionally and physically abusive. There was not a lot of honesty in that relationship. I was cheated on several times. There were restraining orders that were involved, for my safety. And I truly believe that everything that I went through, God was doing for me and not to me, right? Because hindsight is all 2020. And every relationship that I've been in, even though it may not have been the relationship that served my highest good, has always taught me something, and I learned a lesson to heal and take with me into my next relationship, right? So the things that I learned from that relationship were actually learning how to love myself from the inside out. It took me, we were together for like 6.5 years, and then I took like 3 years to really, work on me. And by working on me, it was really, getting involved in a fitness program so I could just look in the mirror and love who I was. Now, there were a lot of other things going on in my life. I was in college during that time that I was single, so there were a lot of things that, yes, if, I don't believe that if I could go, people say all the time, if you could go back and do anything differently, what would it be? And I truly would never do anything differently in my life, because that's the path that's gotten me to where I am today, right? But there were a lot of things that I was doing in college that I wasn't necessarily proud of at the time, right? But what I did learn was that I wasn't going to ever compare myself to another girl. I was never going to go out into society and feel like I was anything less than beautiful. Right? And so that took me pouring into me and deciding to every freaking day show up and do a workout program. Was I eating the best? No. Was I doing things that served my body and was nourishing it properly? Absolutely not. But that period of time, I learned a lesson that I was no longer going to walk into a room and compare myself to other girls, because for 6 years in that relationship, I dealt with things like, in immense jealousy, things, where I never felt like I was good enough. There were a lot of beliefs that I took on as limiting beliefs from that relationship, right? Didn't think that I was going to be worthy of doing certain things that in my mind I really wanted to do, because every time in that relationship I would go and finally heal, a wound would be opened again, right? And those wounds don't just heal overnight. It takes time. So during that 3 years, I really learned to love myself for who I am and for what I brought to the table. And then I met my daughter's father, right? And there was a lot of things in that relationship that I had to learn and heal from, right? One of them being that I am a massive codependent. I am someone who has always, most of my life, gone out of my way to serve other people, even if it's not for the benefit of myself. I'm not saying that everything that we do in this life should only be self-serving. I love to give back to other people. There's a difference between giving back and giving service and doing things for other people that bring you joy, that elevate your frequency, or there's the low vibration of, I feel like I have to do this, so I should do this, because if I don't do this, then God is going to punish me, the universe is going to punish me, this person is going to punish me, or I'm going to hurt so-and-so's feelings, right? So I learned that I was very codependent. Those were things that I had to work through. And it's not always easy. These are things that I was kind of learning along the way. And then I also really finally identified my self-worth, and I finally realized that where I was headed in my life was not the actions I was living every single day, were not the actions that I needed to take, and those were not the surroundings that I needed to be immersing myself in every single day to get me where I wanted to go. So I'm going to explain a little bit about that relationship specifically, and how I've actually healed that relationship with love, and how so many of you guys can actually elevate your frequency, get rid of toxic relationships, and do it in a way that actually makes you feel good and that actually makes you feel really aligned. So let's rewind a little bit to January of 2019. This was when I finally told my daughter's father that this relationship was no longer going to serve me, right? I have been doing, yes, Danielle, codependency is rough. And actually, guys, if you could do me a favor and drop in the comments something that you struggle with, whether it is codependency, self-confidence, looking in the mirror and loving who you see, maybe it's safety in your relationships, maybe it's, you wish that, you had more patience, whatever. I know like that's something I'm working on this year immensely, is like having more patience as a mom. It's an affirmation. It seems so easy. I literally affirm that every single day. When I am a patient mom, I am more successful. Because it is really hard sometimes to be an entrepreneur of 2 businesses and being a single mom and feel patient, especially when maybe you haven't hit your goals for the month, right? Or you have a really full plate, right? So the affirmation that I'm choosing to serve my highest good right now is, when I am a patient mom, I am more successful, right? So maybe it's things like your patience. So if you guys could drop in the comments something that maybe you guys struggle with: codependency, self-confidence, patience. I will make sure I address those in this live video. But so taking it back to January of 2019, I was the point when I told my daughter's father that this relationship was no longer going to serve me. Now, again, do not watch this video and then all of a sudden start getting angry at your significant others. That is not the point of this video. The point of this video is to teach you how you can do things with grace that serve your highest good. Hey, Morgan, thank you so much for tuning in. So I had been working with my mentor for about 3 months, and I originally hired my mentor to help me create more success in my business, right? What I didn't realize is that everything is interconnected. Now, I know this now, but so often we set out to do things in our life and we separate everything, right? And what I didn't realize is that everything was interconnected. And so I was setting these goals for myself, and I was showing up as this person that I wanted to be every single day. But my social media was seeing one side of me, and the real life that I was living was not like that at all. I, had immense fear over, how was staying in this relationship really serving me, right? So there had been months of, I'm not necessarily sure if this is the right relationship for me or for my daughter. Fear about being a single mom, how I was going to pay the bills, right? Because I hired my mentor because my business was going backwards at the time. And so now here I am thinking, oh my goodness, my business is going backwards. And now I'm healing all of these wounds as I'm working on myself, and I'm figuring out that maybe the relationship that I'm in isn't the relationship that is going to serve me for the rest of my life. And all of these things started to come up, right? And it was a process of really healing everything with love. And what I did was, simple things like meditating every single day. I really chose at that point in my life to look within and say, okay, because here's the thing, we cannot change other people, we can only change ourselves. And if you are not proud, or you are not excited, or you do not feel good about the circumstances in the physical space that are around you, you cannot change other people. And there are a lot of times you cannot actually change the physical space, right? All you can do is work on you so that you elevate into the person who's strong enough, who believes in herself enough to change situations, right? So I've been doing all this work, and I was choosing every single day to meditate and really just say, I'm going to take 10 minutes a day to meditate and really work on healing these parts of my past that I kind of pushed aside for so many years, right? As a codependent, I was someone who really pushed a lot of things aside that I don't like the word should, but that I should have worked through. But instead of me working through those feelings because I felt guilty or because I had a massive to-do list and I can't be sick or I can't take a day off or I can't do these things that I love because if I do these things, then it's going to take away from here, right? So there was a lot of shit that I went through that I pushed aside. Also an Enneagram 3, and that's also a very unhealthy trait of the Enneagram 3 is that we tend to we deflect, right? So we have an issue, we acknowledge it, and we're like, oh, that kind of sucks. But then we reframe it in a way to make it positive instead of healing through it, where a healthy 3 actually heals through it. So I took that time to start meditating every single day. I also took that time to really start journaling every single day and start writing out the beliefs that had gotten me to that point, and then to also start journaling out, what does my dream life look like? And I painted this picture that I wasn't even living. I was painting a picture of someone that had really open communication with their significant other. I was painting a picture of someone who doesn't have to drive their significant other to work every single day, right? Because my daughter's father, he doesn't have a license because of decisions that he chose to make, right? Now, I'm the first to freaking say, like, I will forever and always be friends with my daughter's father, and that's the whole point of where I'm getting with this, to teach the lesson, is that I will forever and always be friends with him. I will never speak ill will of him. The only thing I'll ever do is teach the story, and there are parts of the story that are not mine to tell, so I don't share them. But, he didn't have a license, and so, I painted this picture of, me walking down the stairs every single day, drinking my hot coffee, and like my significant other and I like actually talking about our day and kissing each other goodbye before we leave for work. And then when they get home, like, you know, I painted this whole picture and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is nothing like the relationship that I'm in, right? And it was, and then my mentor kept saying, she's like, you cannot change someone. You can only continue to work on yourself. And I had gotten to the point where, you know, he had started drinking again when my daughter was about 6 months, and we had tried the meetings and all these different things where I finally just gotten to the point where I was like, you know what, I cannot pretend to show up as someone else on social media and then be living this life behind the scenes. And so at that point, I made the decision. I said, enough is enough. This is not the life that I want to be living. It doesn't serve me. It doesn't serve my daughter. So I am going to do the work on me to get out of this situation. I'm going to try and do it with as much grace and ease as possible. And I'm not going to sit here and say that every part of leaving this relationship was easy or peaceful, but I will tell you that looking back on everything now, the way that everything happened was so much easier than I ever imagined it would be, because I made the decision that I was going to end this relationship with grace and with love, and not just for myself, but for the sake of my daughter and for the sake of everyone that was involved. And there were some ugly parts in there, guys, and there are some things in there that I'm still working on healing through myself, right? But how I worked on me and how basically this all came about, and we're going to talk a little bit about frequency here in a second, is that once I finally made the decision to leave, I all of a sudden went from a level 5% to a level 7%, because the number one thing that you can do with anything in your life, and to back it with the most intention and the most power, is to decide, and to decide wholeheartedly. And that is with anything. That is with deciding to look in the mirror every day and love what you see. That's deciding to commit to a workout program and finishing it. That is deciding to go work your way to the top of the corporate ladder at your job. Whatever it is, when you wholeheartedly decide and there is pure alignment, everything in the universe will rise up to meet you, and it will fall in place. And you all of a sudden elevate from a person that's a level 5 to a level 7, okay? Because you decided, and you are ultimately always supported in your decisions. So I did the work to work on me, and I started to notice that all of a sudden these things I was so fearful of, you know, well, how is he going to get to work if I'm not in this relationship? Again, codependent. How are his daughters going to get to school if I'm not in this relationship? Again, codependent, right? All of a sudden I started to do the work on me. I started to realize it's okay to put me first, right? You know, and then the guilt, the mom guilt, you know, well, what is my daughter going to think? Worked on those things. Well, my daughter deserves the happiest and healthiest mom there is. Is this relationship really making me the happiest that I am? Am I really the healthiest version of me in this relationship, mentally, emotionally? Absolutely not. And I knew for me that I wanted my daughter, when I painted that picture, that higher version picture of myself, I knew for me that I wanted my daughter to understand what real true love was like, right? That I didn't want my daughter to repeat patterns that I had. I didn't want my daughter to go through an emotionally and physically abusive relationship in high school like I did, right? I didn't want my daughter to be in a relationship with someone that struggles with drugs and alcohol, right? I wanted to break that pattern for my child. And the only way that I could do that was by deciding that I loved myself enough to get out of a relationship that wasn't serving me, right? And so I wanted to cut the cord for my daughter. And that was the only way to know how to do that. So yes, did I have immense mom guilt leaving that situation? Absolutely I did. There's still things that I work through every single day. But I knew that ultimately by making that decision, that I was going to not only be benefiting my highest good, that I was going to be benefiting hers too. And she deserves that, right? And she deserves to come home every single day as she grows up and see what a healthy and happy relationship looks like. And what we had wasn't. And now again, I'm saying, there's a completely different circumstance about my relationship versus what maybe so many of your relationships look like, right? Like there is a big difference between being in a relationship that is emotionally and physically abusive, or being in a relationship with someone that maybe struggles with drugs and alcohol, than maybe someone who just doesn't fold their laundry or put it in the hamper, right? Like those are completely different circumstances. But I inevitably just started to do the work on myself. Oh, I love you, Morgan. Thank you so much. Hey, Michelle. Yes, self-confidence and codependency. Danielle, exactly. So by doing that work on myself, I really started to elevate into this person that was a lot closer to the vision that I saw in that vision that I painted for myself, right? So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing the work. I'm starting to see more and more every single day that I'm looking more like that girl. My energy is coming back a little bit more. I'm more vibrant. Like things in my life just started to seem a little bit easier, because here's the thing, guys, we have a choice. Our subconscious is in control of 99% of every single thing that we do. So we can choose to decide that everything in life is going to be hard, or we can choose to decide to have faith and just trust that the universe is always supporting us, that God is always supporting us, and that it gets to be easy. And now, when I say that it gets to be easy, I'm not saying that it's like, oh my gosh, everything's caterpillars and rainbows and butterflies. No, sometimes the easy way of living is actually making the hard decision, right? Because was it harder? Was it going to be harder for me to end a relationship that wasn't serving me so that I can take the steps to live my best life ever, even if it takes me another 5, 10, 15 years to get there? Or was it harder to stay in that relationship? Choose your heart, right? So the hard decision in that moment was to leave. But what would have ultimately been harder would have been to stay. Because now I can't even tell you the magic and how much my life has changed in a year and a half because of that decision, because of that hard decision that I decided to take. So let me see where I'm at here. Okay, so getting rid of toxic relationships that no longer serve you. Okay, now I related that to a relationship with my daughter's father, right? Maybe you guys are in relationships with friends. Maybe you have parents that you have relationships that you need to heal. Maybe it's coworkers, right? And you're like, well, I can't just like leave my job. So some action items that I can give you to do there is number one, identify your highest self. If you're staying in that job because you're afraid that if you go out and chase your dreams that you're never going to make enough money, that's a scarcity-based way of living. Okay, so paint the version of your highest self. Do you see your highest self staying at that office job with toxic coworkers or a toxic boss? Or do you see yourself running your own business or maybe working someplace else? Where do you see your highest self, right? So get really clear on that. Number two is meditate on it. And when we meditate, there are so many different ways that we can meditate. But how I really chose to meditate during this phase of my life was healing the inner child within myself. And I would do these meditations that would literally, I would go and I would speak to my younger version of me in my meditation. And I would tell her that everything that she did was okay. And I would tell her that every situation and circumstance that she did, took, or thought, or made leading up to that point was okay. And I would say goodbye to her with love, right? We heal everything with love. Number three is I would just journal everything out, my emotions, how I was feeling, beliefs that I was taking on, and I would work through that. And then number four is I would take action items every single day to actually incorporate more joy and happiness in my life. So as I stated in one of these other videos is, I saw my highest version of me as someone that takes my daughter to the park all the time, or like takes her to school and like is really involved, right? Now I was doing like none of those things. Now, again, it's the middle of winter and I actually hate being outside and being cold unless I'm snowboarding. So I don't take her for walks in the middle of the winter. But when it's freaking summertime, I'm outside and so I started taking my daughter like to go do things, right? And so I would just do things every single day that created more joy in my life. So that I was simultaneously while I was healing the shit, right? While I was healing the bullshit and working through all that stuff, I was also doing things that felt good and aligned and that were easier and brought me more joy. So I was doing those things too, right? So as I was healing the beliefs, as I was healing the core wound, I was also doing things every single day that were more fun, brought me more joy, made me feel good, made me feel like a really good mom, right? Because I was like, here's over here with mom guilt, healing the mom guilt. Oh my gosh, just go to the trampoline, the indoor trampoline park and jump for an hour and a half, right? So then that was kind of like elevating my frequency. So that's really how I did that. So every single day, doing something that brings you joy. And before you know it, when you start to take these action steps every single day to heal the core wound while also doing things that bring you more joy, again, it can be as simple as taking a bath. You're going to elevate your frequency. And then before you know it, you're going to look in your physical space and you're going to realize that you've subconsciously pushed some people out. What you also might realize is that you might actually, if you're in a physical space every single day with these people, you might actually feel it's almost like a magnetic pull. Now, if you guys are elevating together, you might feel a magnetic pull drawing you closer and closer to each other. Now, if this is a situation where maybe you're working on you because you know the relationship that you're in is inevitably not going to serve you, you're going to actually notice yourself repelling from one another because this is how frequency works, right? It's just like two magnets, right? You need both ends of the magnet to come together but if they're on the opposite side, they're going to repel. So when you're raising your frequency, if you're in a physical space with someone that is of a lower vibration that doesn't match yours, you're actually going to start to physically feel yourself being pulled apart. It's a very uncomfortable feeling. And the craziest part about this is ultimately why I decided to really sell my house, because the first elevation of my frequency resulted in like the feeling of us being pulled apart, right? So that was ultimately when I was like, I knew, okay, this has to end, right? Because it was like, every day I was like, oh my gosh, we felt there was this pull going further and further apart. But then once he was gone, so I had gone to Florida for 5 weeks, and once I had come back, I literally walked into my house and I started just sobbing, because I had come from this really high elevation of being in Florida where the sun was shining by the ocean, right? Really pouring into me. My daughter, it was like one of the first times that my daughter, no, it was the second time that my daughter had like been to the ocean, but like taking her to the beach all the time. And then I came back in the middle of a freaking hailstorm to a completely empty house, covered in dust, and I just sobbed. And then I really tried to like do some feng shui and like move the stuff around, but I just was like at a low vibration in my house. And I was like, literally, I had grown into this person where my energetic frequency, my energetic space was much bigger than the house, right? So I was like, that's how I knew it was a time for a change. So working on you will actually subconsciously either allow those that are going to come with you to rise with you, or will actually energetically push them out. And there's nothing wrong with that. So if you are in a toxic relationship or friendships or family members, work on you. Work on you, because you cannot change them. They can only make the decision to change themselves. By working on you, you will subconsciously take the actions and create the physical space for you to live into that serves your highest good. And the other people that deserve to be there with you, that will also help you elevate your frequency consistently and rise with you, will be with you on that journey. And the ones that don't, you're not even going to realize that they've disappeared, truthfully. And it sounds really messed up, but it's not. It's just how we work. We're all energy. So we enter a new existence of living. I can't tell you how many messages I get on Instagram from people that, they've kind of watched my journey as I've built my social media business over the last several years, that tell me I don't even look like the same person. They're like, your energy isn't even the same. They're like, there's just something about you where it's like, it's different. It's like there's life back in your eyes, right? And it's just by simply elevating my frequency and working on me every single day. Okay. So we talked about getting rid of toxic relationships that no longer serve you. 2, elevating your frequency and working on you actually pushes other people out of your energetic space or forces the others to rise up with you. And here's what I want to dig in on that a little bit, is that everyone is in your space for a reason. We have a soul contract with every person we've ever been in contact with. Now, I am going to get a little on my soapbox with this, because it's something I feel really strongly about, because I was this person, and I actually have done a lot of work around this, and I work on, work on this with my clients a lot. That was a tongue twister. I remember saying to my mentor, well, if I know that it's not good for me, or if they know that it's not good for them, why do we continue to go back? Because how many of you, give me a heart, give me an emoji or whatever, how many of you know people, or this has been you, have said, have been in a relationship with someone who's either lied or cheated, or have a friend that maybe has done something really terrible to you, and you're like, I'm never going back to them, or I'm never being friends with them again. And then yet you go back multiple times, or yet you watch your friend go back multiple times, and then the same thing happens over and over and over again, but yet they go back over and over and over again. How many people? Give me some hearts. If this was you, you can drop a comment if it was you. Yes, okay. So I was that person, right? I dated someone for 6 years who cheated on me, I think 13 times that I know of. And I went back, right? And I can't tell you how many of my friends would say, oh my God, you're so stupid for going back. He's going to just do it again. How many friendships I actually lost because they got so fed up with me going back and then bitching about the same situation, right? For me to ultimately literally one day I woke up and it was like a light bulb went off, okay? Same situation with my daughter's father, right? There were multiple times where I'm like, this doesn't feel right. I know that this doesn't serve my highest good. I should make the decision to go. but I would stay, right? Now I'm going to give you guys, if you are the person who has either done this or maybe the person that has judged your friends with this, I'm going to give you a little perspective that's going to really help you heal these situations with love, because we have a soul contract with every single person that we've ever been in contact with in our entire lives. And I truly believe that we have more than one soulmate on this planet, right? Now there's twin flame, which like there's only one of those, but like there's you can have multiple soulmates in your life, right? We will continue to go back to a certain someone, a certain situation, or continue to remain in a certain situation until our lesson on a soul level has been learned. That is why there are so many people that are in relationships that they know consciously, I know that this doesn't serve us, serve me, whatever the case may be, right? Consciously, I know that. Consciously, they know that. Subconsciously, there is a belief or a lesson to be learned that they have not learned yet. And there is no amount of, you're stupid if you go back. There is no amount of conscious teaching this person why they shoulda, woulda, coulda done this differently that is going to keep them from going back to that situation or that certain someone. Because they have not learned that lesson on a soul level. And that is okay. That is okay. So this has actually taught me as a friend and as a mentor and as a coach how to actually mentor and coach differently, right? Because it's so easy to look from the outside and say, well, they should do this, or if they would have done this, or if they would have just listened to me the first time, right? The lesson has not been learned on a soul level. They have not subconsciously healed that part of them. And sometimes they might not even know the lesson that needs to be learned. Hindsight is 20/20, right? Like when I was in that situation in high school, like I just woke up one day and it was like a light bulb went out. Went on. I didn't feel like I learned any lesson. It wasn't like one day I woke up and I was like, well, this is the lesson that I needed to learn and I'm moving on with my life. No, that's not how it felt at all. It was just like all of a sudden I was just like, ooh, why am I in this relationship? And like just really piece the fuck out, right? They might not even subconsciously or consciously ever identify what the lesson is. They just one day they might just wake up and be like, fuck it, I'm done, right? So when you are in a relationship or, and you continue to go back to maybe a situation or a circumstance or certain someone or whatever the situation may be that you feel like doesn't necessarily serve you and you can't consciously identify why you're going back, that is why I cannot tell you enough how important it is to journal things out and to actually work on you. Because by working on you, you will actually help to heal those wounds and actually learn that lesson, whether it be subconsciously or on a soul level, even quicker. And yes, you might not identify even what the lesson was. I get Reiki done. So if you guys have ever had Reiki, I know Morgan, you're on here, you've had Reiki done. And she told me that like I released like so many things that I was holding on to, and I felt like lighter afterwards, but I was like, I have no idea what I was supposed to learn. Because we hold on to so much. We're all energy. Every single thing that we've ever seen in our entire lives, right? And guys, we think that the only things that we see are what's in front of us or like in our peripheral. Guys, we see everything around us in so much further, wider. Our brains are like absolutely insane, and I truly believe that if we were to like lift the veil, like we would like implode, right? So everything from our entire lives that we have taken on is a part of who we are. So we've taken on beliefs or situations or lessons that need to be learned that we don't even know we need to learn. So when you're in a situation like that, give yourself grace. Love yourself even more for going back. Give yourself even more grace for going back, because that means that you're one step closer to learning the lesson. Give the people that you love, maybe you've watched your parents be in an abusive relationship, or maybe you've watched a friend be in a toxic relationship with another friend, right? We've all had friendships like that, or like witness friendships like that, right? And it's so easy to make the judgment, but just know that there's something that both of them are in that situation for a reason. There's a lesson to be learned on both ends. So just heal that with love, right? So, and then another great thing that I do, and people think I'm freaking absolutely batshit crazy because they say, so many people will say things like, oh my God, like, my ex is such an asshole, or, but like, we tend to take ourselves out of every relationship or every situation, and our first instinct is to place the blame on someone else, right? If there's one thing that I've learned with working on myself and learning to love myself more, is that by putting other people down does not elevate you. When you put someone who is in your energetic space, who is in your life, who is a part of your soul contract down for that long, you are basically telling yourself that the lesson that you learned is not good enough, and you are actually putting yourself at a lower vibration. Choose to rise above, right? So my daughter's father and I have a great relationship now. There's still stuff that's going on in family court, and that stuff happens, right? But when we are actually are together for visitation, or for what, when my daughter is around, or even just like every now and again for shits and giggles, like he'll send me something funny, I'll send him something funny, or send a picture or a video. It was not always easy. What I chose to do, as soon as I cut the cord with that relationship, and as soon as I decided you're going to be a single mom, and it's not going to necessarily be the easiest decision, right? Sometimes the best decision is the hard decision. But that you are going to do this with grace, and you are going to do this from a place where your highest self would be so proud of the actions that you are taking. So what did I do every single day? Even in the midst of the messiest parts of that situation, I wrote down every single day at least one thing that I was grateful for my daughter's father for. Every single day. And to this day, every single day, I will write down, I am so grateful for my daughter's father because he was the other half of what gave me the most beautiful gift on this planet. I'm so grateful for my daughter's father because every time she sees him, she gets so excited, right? It is not always easy, especially if you're a single mom and co-parenting, guys, whatever the situation in your relationship may be, or if you were with someone that cheated, or was you were in a toxic relationship, it is not always easy to be grateful. It is not always easy to be grateful for those people. And sometimes, there were times in my life where it was like chewing on freaking quarters. Okay. And I love quarters. Thank you, universe, for all the money. But it really, was like, damn, like, just, right. We've all been there. But what I can truly say is that by working on healing that broken relationship with love, it has actually helped me become a better person. I think it's truly helped him become a better person. And ultimately, it's going to help my daughter grow into the best person that she could possibly be, right? So in whatever the situation, again, apply this however it affects your life and whatever relationships that you are in. But take that for what it's worth. And if you are someone who's maybe watching this video, single ladies, single ladies, single ladies. Okay, right, there we go. Song, Beyonce, you're welcome, Sasha Fierce. Now, because if you are watching this and you are single or you are out of a relationship, it is so, so, so easy. I get all the time, they're like, I get a lot of questions, especially when I was like newly single, and like that was kind of like when my second business took off, and I was like, oh my gosh, like newly single mom, now crushing 2 businesses, like motherfucking thriving, right? I would get messages all the time of like, how do you make it look so easy? And here's the thing, if you are single, the best thing that you could ever do for yourself is to work on you. The number one reason why in every phase of my life, whether it was when I had gotten out of my first toxic relationship when I was in high school, right, that I had been cheated on numerous times, right, or the first time that I found out that my daughter's father was struggling with drugs and alcohol, right, and then he got sober for 2.5 years, and then the second time that he went back to drinking when my daughter was 6 months old, right, or when my business went backwards, or when I finally decided to leave, I never stopped working on me. I never stopped believing in myself. When shit got hard and I thought that I wasn't good enough, I took it as a note to pour into me even more. I chose it as a, not an excuse, but a reason to pour into my fitness. I took it as not an excuse, but a reason to pour into my nutrition. I took it not as an excuse, but a reason to pour into my mindset. Why? Because I am not going to punish myself or make myself less than for a relationship that was a part of my past. I am no longer going to live in the past. And so many of us will get in these relationships and then we get out of them. And I get that breakups can be hard, ending friendships can be hard, maybe telling family members that you can't be around them because you don't feel safe anymore is hard. I get that certain things in life are hard. But when you choose to put yourself on the back burner during those hard situations, you are giving the power to the other people. You are giving power to a lower vibration and to a lower frequency that does not serve your highest good. And I have always truly believed that there is no comeback like the comeback after fucking rock bottom. And whatever your freaking rock bottom is, do not ever rob anyone of their rock bottom, right? But whatever your rock bottom is, there's no fucking strong comeback stronger than coming back from that. And when you choose to pour into you instead, you are choosing to tell the highest version of you that you are good enough. Because I know that I want to work on me every single day. I want to pour into my mindset every single day, my fitness every single day, my nutrition as much as possible every single day. I want to pour into me and my dream life every single day because my future soulmate, twin flame, whatever it is, deserves the best version of me. I deserve to be the best version of me, and my future someone deserves the best version of me. So when you are going through hard shit in your life, whether it be, leaving a relationship. I know I did this in February because it's Valentine's Day month and everything is centered around relationships and self-love and fucking chocolate, okay? I'm here for it. But when you are going through hard shit, don't fucking punish yourself. Don't live in the past. That's the freaking past. Heal that shit with love. I'm not gonna say it's easy. There were so many days I woke up and I freaking cried. I was like, I can't believe that I'm doing this. I can't believe that the person I thought I was gonna spend the rest of my life with is no longer even living in the same house as me. Now I'm raising a daughter by myself, working 2 jobs. I mean, 2 jobs that I love, right? 2 businesses from home. So that was a dumb way to put that. But I love how just professional I am. But running 2 businesses from home. I'm a single mom now running 2 businesses from home. And the person I once thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with is no longer in the same space, right? And yeah, it's hard. I'm not going to say that there weren't days where I didn't eat chocolate and watch Netflix. My body needed that, right? My mind needed that. My emotions needed that. The healthy Enneagram 3 in me. And guys, do you know what your Enneagram is? Can you drop it in the comments for me? What is your Enneagram? Do you know? If you don't know, let me know if you don't know. But the healthy Enneagram 3 in me needed that time to heal, right? But I still decided to consistently show up in my mindset, in my fitness, in my nutrition, because my highest version of me deserves that. And because my future somebody deserves that, right? It's really easy to get stuck in right now. It's really easy to get stuck on the shoulda, woulda, coulda. It's really easy to get stuck on the blame game and blaming other people for where you are, blaming other people for actions that maybe you had a part of as well, right? Huge part of self-love and self-care is also forgiveness. Forgive, right? Because forgiveness, it's not for them, it's for you. It's so that you can grow into the person that you deserve to become. God didn't put us on this planet so that life could be hard and there could be constant conflict. But we are meant to learn lessons in this life, in this universe, on this planet. And learning lessons isn't always the easiest, but I promise that if you choose to make the decision that might seem harder right now, your life is going to be a lot easier in the long run. I promise you that. So take that for what it's worth. I don't want people watching this video and automatically going to go home and tell their husband, you suck because you don't put your laundry in the hamper. You put it right next to the hamper. Go home and tell your boyfriend, you suck because I wanted to watch that movie on Netflix with you and you watched it without me and you're a lazy little hunk of junk, okay? No, that is not what this is for. This is all about really healing the core wound and working on you, because the more we work on ourselves, the more our physical space gets better and brighter and easier to live in. So I'm going to go on ahead and wrap. Number 1, we talked about getting rid of toxic relationships that no longer serve you. Number 2, we talked about elevating your frequency and working on elevating your frequency will either simultaneously push people out or simultaneously bring people up with you. And then we also talked about soul contracts, and that every single person that we've ever been in contact with, whether it be a friend, a stranger even, a family member, a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, an uncle, a cousin, whatever, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a significant other, friendships, we all have soul contracts with people, right? And we can't always decide how they're going to act in situations, but we can decide how we're going to act and or react in situations, right? And we can decide to see that perspective, to see that from a higher vibration, from our highest self, and decide to make the action that serves her. Decide to make the action that serves the highest version of you. Again, it's not always going to be easy, but it is always going to be worth it. I promise you. Because here I am, I'm going to be 29 on March 24th. I'm a single mom. I am thriving, guys. I literally have never been happier in my entire life. I wake up every single day with a heart that is filled with so much freaking joy and passion to serve. And that was something that I did not have 2 years ago. And I wake up every single day and I'm proud of the person that I am. And I'm proud and excited of the person that I'm becoming. And I'm growing as a mom, and I'm excited to see that every single day my relationship with my daughter grows as I continue to work on the relationship with my daughter's father, and that every single day I get to decide. I get to decide how I show up. Do I show up loving myself as the highest version of me, deciding to live into her? Or do I show up half-assing it just because shit might be hard? I show up to serve her, period. So with that being said, I have two really important special announcements. Well, actually three, okay, three. Okay, so number one is Technology and Jesslyn, we're besties, okay? And by besties, I mean, well, we have some sort of soul contract together, but we're still working on healing that wound because I have to get on chat with my so I have a website through Kajabi. I have to get on chat with tech for them because for whatever reason, all of you guys, all 216 of you guys that are subscribed to my emails, only 38 of you are receiving them. So with that being said, if you guys could so graciously drop your email either in the comment section of this post, or I'll make a post a little bit later today after I hop off support and get you guys' emails, because I think I'm gonna have to reload almost all of them, depending on what they say. So that's number one. Number two, exciting announcement. This is the exciting announcement. So I am officially opening up not one, but 2 one-on-one spots. So I have a 6-month one-on-one intensive, and these are bi-weekly 90-minute calls. One of my clients has gone from literally not hitting her goals month after month after month after month. Working with me, I've implemented the practices with her that my mentor has worked on with me, and how I've created it, like kind of my own signature bridge the gap method. And I work with my clients very closely. We get bi-weekly phone calls, so 90-minute bi-weekly phone calls, 6 months, one-on-one. I'm now opening up 2 spots, guys. This is going to be the last time that I'm offering one-on-ones for that price and for that time. I will be up-leveling my prices after the end of March. So literally once those 2 spots are filled, they are filled. And then come the end of March, I'm actually going to be up leveling my prices to, it is going to be the same price it is now for 4 months, or the price is going to be up leveled, and it's going to be, you can still do a 6-month one-on-one, but the price is going to be up leveled significantly. So if you have been wanting to work with me one-on-one, I have 2 spots that I've opened up. So I decided instead of just opening up 1 spot, I'm going to open up 2. And the third, I just had a brain fart. Oh, and the third super exciting announcement is Marley. So my mentor, Marley, we are currently in pre-sale launch of her course, the Lightworkers Society. This is going to be an epic launch, guys. It's going to be an epic course. It went from 5 weeks to it's now going to be a 5-month course. I have the key to get you in the door before the sale goes live to the public. I also have the key to get you $500 off that course. If you decide to enroll for Lightworkers Society, I am an affiliate for that. You will not only get the $500 off the course, I also have a special bundle that I've been working on and putting together for those of you that enroll through my affiliate link. So if you decide to enroll through my affiliate link, you will get $500 off, and you will also get access to a bundle that I have specifically put together just for Marley's Lightworkers Society course. It's all about money being a heart issue. It's going to be a combination of self-love and a combination of magical money mindset. So there's going to be work around money mindset and then also work around your heart, self-love, because guys, money is energy. Everything in our life comes down to releasing a block, right? So energy is neither created nor destroyed. There's all the abundance that's in the universe is already created. We just keep blocks, right? So we hold on to blocks that keep the abundance from flowing to us. So money is a heart issue. Success is a heart issue. Energy, having, abundance of energy, joy, all of those things are heart issues. So work on loving you, work on healing the core wounds. You're going to release those blocks, and literally it's going to be infinite abundant flow. So, so those are my exciting announcements. Not just one on one spot. We have two. It's the last time it'll ever be that price. I'm significantly up-leveling my prices from here on out for my one-on-one option. Make sure you snag it now. Also, all my one-on-one clients, you get access to all my courses too. So you'll get access to the bundle for the affiliates that enroll for Lightworkers Society. You're also going to get all of the other courses that I created. So you get access to all of my courses in addition to the one-on-one mentorship with me. And then again, if you decide to enroll with Marley's Lightworkers Society with my affiliate link, you get $500 off plus an exclusive bundle that I have put together just for you. It is called Femme, Fierce, and Fine. Having lots of money is hot as fuck. Sounds like a blast, right? I'm pretty excited about it. It's been fun to put it together. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for spending your Friday with me. I'll keep you posted in terms of the email and like my soul contract with technology. I'll keep you guys up to date on that. But I love you guys, and I will catch you on the flip side. Love you guys. Have a great Friday.